Welcome to another episode of NAMI Talks. I am Tori Tracy. I am the Senior Manager of the CIT Partnerships and Education, and I am here with Maggie from Vet to Vet, and I'm going to let Maggie introduce herself.
Good morning. My name is Maggie Catanese. I am the Executive Director for Vet Maine. Vet Maine is a nonprofit here in Maine, and we serve the entire state, and we help combat social isolation and loneliness among our Maine veterans by matching veterans together, and they spend time together, they get out of their houses, they interact. It's a great mission.
It's wonderful. I did check you out on the web there for a little bit. Could you tell us more, like, how did Vet to Vet get started?
Sure. So initially, Vet to Vet was part of the Southern Maine on Aging. And from there, we realized that there was such a need statewide that we broke off, and in 2018 we became a nonprofit, and so then we became statewide.
Wonderful. And most of your Vet to Vet is like volunteers, like volunteer veterans that meet with others. Could you tell us more about how you choose those veterans and how they get together or are matched with others?
Sure. So we receive referrals for veterans that are feeling isolated, lonely. It could be a spouse, a dependent, a social worker, a neighbor saying, I know a veteran that really could benefit from receiving a visitor. And we match them with another veteran volunteer in our program that lives nearby, that they share some of the same hobbies. And we go from there. We make the introduction, and a friendship forms from there.
Wonderful. And one question I had is, if do you cover like all of the counties in Maine? Do you have a volunteer in each one, or how was that?
We do. We finally checked off the county. For a while, we were representing almost the entire state, and finally in 2025, we can officially say that we're statewide, and we have matches throughout the entire state.
That's great. And if you are a veteran and you are in a county, let's say like Aroostook County, that's a pretty big county. Do you only have that one, or would you have like someone else from a different county come in and assist? Like, would that work also?
So unfortunately, we have to get a little bit creative. Currently, we have a waiting list of veterans that would like to have a visitor. So if we are unable to find a visitor for them, we'll often ask an available volunteer, do you travel to the area often? Do you have medical appointments? Do you have family? Do you ever find yourself in this particular area? And luckily, somehow it works out. Other times we arrange a phone pal. They become friends on the phone. And we've had a gentleman in Florida talking to a gentleman in Maine for a while. So you have to get creative.
It is hard. We have a very diverse, very large, counties. So I totally understand that. And if you wanted to be a volunteer, what would that process look like?
Sure. Same sort of referral process. You can reach out to through our website, word of mouth, but we are asking that you are a veteran or are a family member of a veteran, that you have some sort of connection to the military, and you receive some background training. You go through a background check just to ensure the safety of everyone in our organization. And we find out a little bit about you, what your interests and hobbies are, because we want to make the match successful.
Great. And do you serve only male veterans, or do you also serve female veterans?
Oh, we have female veterans as well. I'm in the program. I'm a fourth generation veteran myself, and I'm matched with a gal up in Heartland, Maine, and she's 92. And they're interesting visits. She's hilarious. She's peppy and looks forward to our visits, and I've learned a lot. So yeah, we have male and female.
Great. And I understand too that maybe you have some resources that help you and help your veterans. Could you talk about some of the resources that you use?
I think the biggest thing is networking with other services and nonprofits here in the state of Maine. There's so many other organizations that are available to veterans, and we're able to make those referrals and connections. For example, we have a gentleman, he's in his 80s and he decided now's a good time to learn to play the guitar. So we're gonna make that referral. Oftentimes we'll find out that someone is having a hard time refilling their medication because they've moved to a different area of Maine and some things have gotten a little mixed up, so we can help there. If they're not enrolled with VA benefits, we can point them to the forms that they need to fill out. So the state of Maine is so great when it comes to appreciating our veterans. There's so many incredible nonprofits and organizations and services out there for them. You just have to connect the dots and make those introductions.
And I understand too from looking at your website that you have you do some things like with the community. I believe that you have something coming up on June 6th. Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, so there's a number of vet expos that are happening throughout the state. We always post them on our website, Vet Maine, but also the bureau here in Maine. But these vet expos bring all of these nonprofits and organizations and services for veterans in one area. So it's one-stop shopping. As you said, Maine is a rural area, so it's great to have them all in one place, and you can walk around and gather information or sign up for a fishing license or a park pass or things like that. It's just super handy to get it all done in one place.
Oh, wonderful. And for those people that don't know a lot about vet to vet, would you go to like communities and do talks like you're talking with us today, which is wonderful. I've learned a lot. I did some research first, but would that be something that you would do is go to certain communities to get the word out about what you do?
Yes, I recently went to a VFW, or it was an American Legion at Old Orchard Beach, and it was actually great because I walked into this room and there were probably 30 veterans in there, and everyone hears that memberships are going down and maybe veterans really aren't getting out and about to these particular meetings. So it was really nice to see that they had a great facility to house these veterans. It was a great conversation. I let them know about Vet to Vet. I actually let them know that there were two friends in their community that were looking for visitors. So we were able to take care of that right away. I made a few referrals to other agencies from that. So yeah, it's great to spread our name out there and our mission because it can lead to other connections.
Absolutely. And so, if people do want to have a friend come in and visit with them, or if they would like to volunteer or even donate, because I realize that you take some donations, how would they go about doing those things just to get that out there today?
So again, our website is the number two, vetmaine.org. So we're online. We have social media through Facebook and Instagram. And there's just different links that if you want to become a volunteer, if you would like to receive a visitor, if you'd like to make a donation, there's lots of information out there.
Great. Thank you for that. And one point that I wanted to make sure that we talked about as we talk about how big our state is, we know that we have a lot of veterans here, whether they originally lived in Maine or not. A lot of them come here because it is rural, right? It is a place where they can find some quiet and some peace. And we know that sometimes they get isolated. Even if they're in a town, maybe their family is not close. Can you talk a little bit about that isolation and how that affects veterans?
Sure. So I found through talking with some of our participants that loneliness and isolation doesn't occur overnight. Your spouse passes away, your children move out of state, new neighbors come in, things like that And eventually you find that the only interaction you have is with the mailman. Once a day, you get a wave, and loneliness creeps in. And that's when you may not be able to drive anymore. And they don't have smartphones. So the average participant in our program is 75. So yeah, to receive that referral that they want the connection still. They just don't know how to get it. It's a great feeling to finally find someone to meet with them, because the stories that we hear are heartwarming. They have coffee, they play cribbage, they go strawberry picking. One gentleman is starting to bowl again after 20 years, and we've got veterans fishing together. So it's just really heartwarming. But um, when you receive a referral when it's been too late, it's hard to catch up, and to get them to come out and open up to that veteran friend. So I always encourage our veterans to just stay connected, to go to the vet expos, to continue to stay in touch with family and friends and neighbors, and as long as you can.
Thank you for that. I noticed that you had said that your average age was 75, but you do cover all ages. Is that correct? All veterans of all ages, of all genders. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we recently had. I consider myself a younger person, but when I see someone that was born in the 2000s, it makes me feel like a dinosaur. So yeah, we have one individual that did his 4 years, and he came back to Maine, and he had a really hard time integrating back into life. And he was living in his parents' basement, and they really weren't equipped with how to handle this. And so they reached out to Vet, and our volunteer went to him and mentored him, and just listened. And little by little, that person started coming upstairs for meals, started sitting outside, started going back out into his community. So all ages.
Yeah, wonderful. And we know in mental health, I've been doing this here with NAMI for about 5 years, and before that, I was in a male-dominated field in law enforcement. And one thing I know that makes it difficult, a lot of veterans that I worked with, is the stigma with men and their mental health. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So it's almost military culture that you mission first, and feelings last. And so the military can be such a fast-paced environment that you just work, and when it finally comes time where it's quiet and you understand what just happened and it catches up with you, it's difficult to find the words. And it's also great in this program because another veteran will understand. They almost speak the same language as you. It's the been there, done that mentality. And really that's how Vet to Vet began. Is a lot of veterans won't ask for help unless it's from another veteran. So we have found out that immediately when making these matches, they have that common respect, that foundation, that they are both veterans, that they have taken that oath, and so they're more likely to open up to one another.
And it's tough to get men to identify their feelings, right? Um, I know anger is one that, and happy, yeah, they're pretty good with that. But identifying loneliness and sadness, or just I have a feeling and I don't know what to title it. That I know that's very difficult, for men to do, and some women also. So it's wonderful doing that match so they can kind of understand it in their own language, right? It's not like they're talking a completely different language, but they have their own way of communicating, and saying words that they identify with and that they understand. And I think that's wonderful. I think that, is there anything else that you would like to add, Maggie, that we haven't talked about?
I'm a stats person, so I like to throw out our stats. So we have over 100 matches throughout the state, and with our matches, we only ask that you check in with your volunteer, your veteran friend, once every other week. but oftentimes we hear back that they're meeting 3 times a week. So to date, we have over 35,000 volunteer hours, and this is since 2018. And we've had 350 volunteers and over 600 veteran friends that are receiving visits. So it's a successful model, and it's really beneficial both ways. The volunteer feels like they're giving back, that they're able to still hold on to those service, their time in service. And to the veteran that's receiving a visit, it's both mentally and physically beneficial for them.
And one more thing, as community members, even if we're not veterans, maybe we don't have family members, but maybe we know somebody. What could we do to support our veterans that are out there? And what services could we recommend to them to help them out and also to support you?
I think recognizing that Maine is such a dense population of veterans is the biggest thing. I'll never forget the Surgeon General came to Maine a couple of years ago and was talking about issues such as obesity and smoking, that they're big issues. However, isolation and loneliness are equally as important and equally as dangerous. There's a ton of health factors related to that: dementia, heart disease, depression, a higher risk of suicide. So to acknowledge that we have such a high veteran population here in Maine, and to know that those are the issues that they're running into, because oftentimes you can say thank you, but you don't know how to give back. I think spreading the mission, what we do, would be the greatest thing that you can do. And to make referrals and just get a conversation started with a veteran. So Vet to Vet is a peer-to-peer companion program. So we offer veteran volunteers going to the home for companionship. So oftentimes that does lead to other services and referrals that we can make. But again, we are simply a peer companion program. But if there is something that requires a greater attention or a specialist, such as the crisis hotline, they're able to dial 988. There's a number of great resources out there for veterans, but we are able to make those referrals and introductions for them.
And through 988, they can get to the veterans crisis line. Also, we that's also on our website if anybody needs that. I do believe it's on your website also. And you don't have to have VA benefits to get your resources, right, and your assistance. So if you're not involved with the VA, you can still contact Vet to Vet and put in a referral to get those services.
Yes, I'd actually say a quarter of our participants are not enrolled in VA benefits, and that's intentional. They may have their own reasons or trust issues, or for whatever reason, they just want to live independently in peace in Maine, and that's okay. We are still able to serve a veteran that isn't enrolled with the VA.
Wonderful. And I think with that, I think that's going to wrap things up. I do know that you can go to our website. We have a guide to supporting your veteran. We can mail that out to you. And I believe there's a PDF too that you can actually download. So if anybody out there is interested in that, please let us know. We also have the Vet to Vet resources or resource on our website under our resource lines or our resource tab. But you can find all of that on our website. And I'd like to say, Maggie, it was wonderful to meet you. And thank you so much for being here. And I'm definitely going to reach out to you for some CIT stuff, which is Crisis Intervention Team. And I'll talk to you about that at another time.